In the remote village of Devkada, nestled between two dense forests and surrounded by hills shrouded in eternal mist, an ancient temple stood buried in silence, known only to the elders as Raktdhara Mundir. The temple was forbidden, sealed by rusted chains, smeared in vermilion and ash, and etched with warnings in a dialect no one dared to translate. It was said that every 12 years, on the night of the Kala Amavasya, the earth beneath the temple breathed, exhaling blood and demanding a Rakt Chadhawa, a blood offering. Villagers whispered that anyone who entered the temple after sunset either returned mad or never returned at all. Their screams, said to echo in the valley till dawn. The Purohit family, who had served as priests for 7 generations, disappeared mysteriously 50 years ago, leaving behind only a journal soaked in blood and tied shut with strands of human hair. No one touched the journal except for Anne, a 29-year-old documentarian from Mumbai, who returned to Devkada to film a documentary on forgotten rituals for an OTT platform. Anne was not superstitious, but his mother, born in Devkada, had warned him, never ask about Raktdhara, never seek what was buried. Some gods are fed, not prayed to. On the first night of his arrival, Ain met Pundit Mahapal, the oldest man in the village, blind in both eyes, who had once been a child during the last offering. In a voice that trembled more from memory than age, Mahapal said, "If you want to live, leave before the moon disappears. They awaken when blood is near." Ignoring the warnings, Annie began filming, collecting stories, and documenting strange symbols carved into stones around the temple, all of them dripping red despite being dry to the touch. That night, camera captured something inhuman, a shadow crawling on the temple walls, upside down, head twisted like a snapped branch, and eyes glowing red behind a shattered idol. The footage vanished from his SD card the next morning, replaced by a single file named "I Have Awakened." Curious and disturbed, Annie opened the blood-soaked journal he had stolen from the locked storeroom, and the room's temperature dropped suddenly, as if the air itself recoiled from the text. The pages were written in a mixture of Sanskrit and an unknown script, describing a ritual where a human heart must be offered with full consciousness to awaken. Rakhtabh, the blood god. The journal ended with a scrawled warning in red ink. Don't read aloud. Don't dream. Don't bleed near the shrine. That night, Annie began to dream of blood, rivers of it flowing from his eyes. From the eyes of villagers, flooding the temple stairs, drowning a baby crying in a brass pot. He woke up screaming, nose bleeding, heart pounding, and found a wet footprint leading from his bed to the locked door. Anne tried to leave the village the next day, but the car wouldn't start. The driver was found unconscious, his tongue cut off and replaced with ash. The villagers began to avoid him, whispering behind closed doors, drawing symbols on their walls, hanging lemon chili charms, and placing crushed vermilion dolls at every crossing. And I confronted a woman named Shanta, who once served as a helper in the old temple, now half mad, roaming the banyan grove singing lullabies to unseen children. Shanta screamed at him, clawing her own face. They marked you. You bled on Raktdhara stone. Your blood called him. He returned to the temple, determined to face whatever was awakening. Carrying his camera and the journal, filming every step like a madman obsessed with truth. Inside, he found the inner sanctum doors open, though they had been sealed with molten lead years ago, and red mist floating in the air like a living entity. At the center of the chamber was a throne made of bones. On it sat a childlike figure, skin gray, eyes hollow, hands soaked in fresh blood, grinning at him. It whispered without moving its lips, "You brought the lens. Now the world will see. Now the world will bleed." N.A. tried to run, but the temple doors shut behind him with a thunderous roar, and the carvings on the wall began to pulse like beating hearts. The next morning, the villagers found the temple open again, no trace of A&I, except his camera lying on the stone floor. "Still recording?" Asterisk, the footage showed Ane being pulled into the floor, screaming as skeletal hands dragged him, his blood flooding the carvings, his eyes torn open by unseen force. Asterisk, the video cut abruptly. But in the final frame, the same childlike creature appeared, now wearing Ane's skin like a cloak, waving at the lens. Asterisk, that day, Devkita's river turned red, all animals fled the forest, and the sky remained dark even at noon. Asterisk, the village elders declared the next Rakt Chadhawa had begun. Not every 12 years, but every 12 days. Someone had to be chosen each time. Asterisk, no one dared volunteer, so they started drawing lots, and those chosen were never seen again. Their houses crumbling overnight like sandcastles at low tide. Asterisk, soon, urban explorers, vloggers, thrill seekers, and fake godmen started arriving at Devkita, lured by rumors of haunted fame. None of them returned. Asterisk, the government tried to seal off the region, but the roads collapsed, GPS failed, and search teams reported strange dreams and sightings of children playing with bloodied hearts. Asterisk, the blood god Raktdhara was no longer just a legend. He had found a door. Asterisk, now, even the villagers whisper in fear. Don't speak of the Chadhawa, or your blood might answer the call. And on every Kala Amavasya, a voice plays through Aina's abandoned footage. The camera never lies, but sometimes it remembers. Asterisk, and somewhere deep inside the Raktdhara temple, the throne waits hungrier than ever, after the last scream was heard in the valley. Devkita no longer slept. The village clock stopped ticking at 3:33 a.m., and that hour became known as the Blood Hour. Asterisk, a month later, a girl named Reeva, a forensic intern from Delhi, arrived with a government pass and a mission. Investigate the disappearances and bring back evidence, or at least a body. Asterisk, she was brave, skeptical, and armed with science. But her heart carried something else. A faded photograph of Annie, who had once been her senior, her first love. Asterisk, the villagers avoided her eyes, muttered prayers behind her and buried black stones outside her hut, claiming she had brought death upon herself by speaking his name. Asterisk, ignoring them. Reeva went to the broken temple, filming with her infrared drone and scanning the structure with Liv, only to discover an underground chamber never recorded in any map. Asterisk, at midnight, she descended into that chamber, flashlight flickering, every step echoing like a drumbeat on the bones of the earth. Asterisk, the air grew colder, it's denser, and every breath she took felt like inhaling ash from burnt skin. Asterisk, carvings lined the walls, not of gods, but of offerings, each a twisted depiction of men, women, children screaming as they were devoured by a smiling stone child. Asterisk, in the center, she found a pit, a perfect circle filled with thick, blackened blood, and hanging above it, her worst nightmare, Annie's half-preserved body, still twitching. Asterisk, his eyes opened as she gasped, and he whispered, not from his mouth, but from somewhere inside her mind, "You shouldn't have come. You're the next offering." Asterisk, Reeva screamed, stumbled back, but her shoes were already stuck in coagulated blood, pulling her down inch by inch as the childlike figure rose from the pit, larger now, skin stitched from dozens of faces. Asterisk, it spoke in the voice of children and monsters together, "You bring the heart of love, the purest Chadhawa of all." Asterisk, but Reeva wasn't ordinary. She pulled a pendant from her neck.
Ow.
One passed down by her grandmother, a talisman carved from yak bone, dipped in holy river ashes and sealed with Trinitra mantra. Asterisk, she thrust it toward the being, and for the first time in centuries, the blood pit hissed, recoiling like a living snake struck by fire. Asterisk, Reeva ran, dragging Anna's twitching body with her, the walls collapsing behind them, the screams of the Rakhtabh echoing in fury, a god denied its offering. Asterisk, as they reached the forest edge, Reeva's torch died, and silence fell, broken only by the sound of twigs snapping under bare, wet feet. Asterisk, Annie gasped, convulsed, and died in her arms, his mouth filled with mud, and in that moment, the blood curse passed into her. Asterisk, she woke up days later in a hospital in Delhi, confused, cleaned, and told that no such village as Devkita existed on any satellite map. Asterisk, the footage was gone. The pendant was missing. Annie's body was untraceable. Asterisk, but every night at 3:33 a.m., she bleeds from her ears and dreams of children chanting in Sanskrit around her burning body. Asterisk, doctors call it hallucination. She knows better. In her fridge, she keeps a diary half written, in blood, half in ash, with the final words of her grandmother. Asterisk, the Raktdhara does not die, it only waits. And love is always the sweetest sacrifice. The curse lives on, and somewhere in the ashes of Devkita, the Raktdhara temple rebuilds, itself one brick at a time, calling out to its next Rakt Chadhawa. Months passed since Reeva returned to Delhi, but her eyes had changed, now always a shade darker. It's like dried blood under glass. Asterisk, every mirror in her apartment showed a slightly delayed reflection, blinking 1 second after she did. Smiling when she wasn't. Asterisk, she tried to continue her life attending seminars, meeting friends, working at the forensic lab, but sometimes she would wake up with dirt under her nails and dried blood in her mouth. Asterisk, one evening, her CCTV captured her sleepwalking out of her flat at exactly 3:33 a.m., barefoot, whispering something ancient in Sanskrit, and returning before dawn with her feet clean, but soaked. Asterisk, she consulted psychiatrists, priests, and tantrics. All saw something wrong in her aura, as if someone else was standing inside her soul. Asterisk, a young tantric Rudra warned her in fear, "You are not possessed, you're becoming him." Asterisk, that night, Reeva dreamt of Ane again, but this time he was not crying. He was kneeling in front of her, head bowed, whispering, "You must offer, or he will take." Asterisk, she awoke with blood writing itself across her ceiling in an unseen hand. Asterisk, Rudra.
Asterisk.
Terrified, Reeva rushed to warn Rudra, but she was too late. His body was found hanging upside down from a banyan tree outside her apartment, throat cut, eyes wide, and a smile carved into his cheeks. Asterisk, from that day, Reeva began hearing a child's laugh behind her every time she walked alone, echoing in stairwells, inside her headphones, even in complete silence. Asterisk, and on the 7th night after Rudra's death, she woke up in an unknown place, surrounded by red mist, scorched ground, and a familiar temple in ruins. Rebuilt by shadows, Asterisk, the Raktdhara Mandir had returned, but this time it was inside her. Asterisk, Anna appeared beside her, now almost skeletal, and whispered, "It's your turn. Choose your blood or become mine." Asterisk, Reeva screamed and tried to run, but the ground below cracked open, revealing a pit of faces, screaming, bleeding, and all of them hers, each version of Reeva who had tried to resist in parallel lives. Asterisk, she fell to her knees, losing control as her body began to float, bones twisting unnaturally, eyes bleeding upwards as Rakhtabh's voice spoke through her lips. Asterisk, once marked, always mine. May your love open the gate. Your blood will feed the flood. Reeva woke up in her bed, eyes normal, but her phone vibrated with a message from her own number. "You offered. We accepted. 11 more remain." Asterisk, suddenly, 11 names started appearing in blood on her bathroom mirror. Friends, mentors, even her younger cousin. And then she understood. The curse now lives through her. She is the carrier, the vessel, the one who must offer blood to 12 hearts in total to complete what Anne had interrupted. Asterisk, each month, one victim, each night one dream, each dawn, one less heartbeat in her contact list. She tried to run, she tried to confess, asterisk, but every time she screamed, her voice would get replaced by laughter, a child's voice, Rakthab's voice, laughing from inside her mouth. Asterisk, the world thinks. Reeva is a forensic scientist. Asterisk, but every 12th night, she becomes the priestess of blood, offering victims in silence, cleaning her blades in Ganga water, whispering forgotten hymns that twist the skies red. Asterisk, and when the 12th offering is made, and the throne of Raktdhara is soaked again, the godchild will rise in flesh through her womb. Asterisk, because the final offering, Asterisk will be herself. It had been 11 months and 11 hearts, torn, buried, burned, or drowned, had been offered under Reeva's trembling hands and a voice not her own. Asterisk, the 12th month began, not with a sunrise, but with a blood rain. Over Delhi's Yamuna Ghat, the river turned rust-colored and carried whispers with the waves. Asterisk. Reeva no longer looked human. Her eyes held a second pupil. Her veins were black. She could no longer see her reflection in anything other than blood. Asterisk, the city spoke of a serial killer targeting those close to a mysterious girl, but no camera, no scanner, no technology could capture her face anymore. Asterisk, at 3:33 a.m. on the final Kala Amavasya, she sat in the middle of a salt circle, chanting the original 108 syllables of the Raktdhara mantra, the ancient forbidden hymn that had never been uttered aloud since the fall of the Purohit bloodline. Asterisk with every syllable. Her body convulsed, bones cracked, blood poured from her. Navel like an umbilical cord uncoiling from the earth itself. Asterisk, and then the sky screamed an unnatural sound, as if 1,000 unborn children cried together, and from the pit beneath her, the Raktdhara throne rose again, formed from skulls. Of those sacrificed over centuries, Asterisk Reeva's womb glowed red, not with life, but with fire, and her shadow stretched across the walls, taking the shape of a crown-bearing infant with claws instead of hands. Asterisk, the blood god. Rakhtabh was being born not through time, not through body, but through pain, memory, and promise. Asterisk, she screamed, as the temple walls reappeared around her. Rebuilt in flame, floating above the ground, with ghosts of all her victims watching silently. Asterisk, and in front of her, the skeletal remains of Ain knelt in worship, whispering, "You've done well. The throne accepts you." Asterisk, Reeva cried, blood tears, whispering, "Is there no way to stop it?" Asterisk, the temple responded in hundreds of voices, "Only death, but not yours. His." Asterisk, suddenly she understood. The only way to end this was to reverse. The ritual offered the first sacrifice in A and trap Raktdhara back into the cursed womb of the stone pit. Asterisk, she turned, holding the blood-stained Trinotra pendant, stabbed it through the skull of Anaya's spirit, who howled not in pain but betrayal. Asterisk, as his body crumbled into red ash. The sky cracked like a broken mirror, and the unborn god inside her screamed. A child denied breath. The pit began to close. The walls fell. The throne burned. But Reeva remained, floating, suspended, half flesh, half curse, never dead, never alive. Asterisk, the Raktdhara was not born, but neither was it destroyed. Now it lives inside the bloodline and wait. Asterisk, now. Every 12th generation a girl will awaken with black veins and dreams of a red-eyed child. Asterisk, and those who speak of Raktdhara still disappear. The cameras still flicker at 3:33, and sometimes, when it rains, the sky still smells like cord blood and charred lullabies. Asterisk, Reeva was buried in an unknown grave, unnamed, unmarked asterisk, but somewhere. In a child's drawing on a mud wall in a village no one maps, the temple is drawn again. Asterisk, and in the corner of that drawing, a woman bleeds into stone, while a baby crawls out smiling. Asterisk, the blood offering is never over. Asterisk, it only begins again. A century passed since the night the Raktdhara temple collapsed. But its story survived, not in books or records, but in the nightmares of women born under a crimson moon. Asterisk, in 2125, in the smag-choked city of Neo-Lucknow. Under neon skies and digital gods, an orphan girl named Kavya began to bleed every night at 3:33 a.m. Though she was only 12, asterisk, her doctors found no cause, but the old nun who ran the orphanage whispered in terror, "I've seen this before." In a girl named Reeva, just before the red mist came. Asterisk, Kavya started drawing symbols in her sleep, identical to the Raktdhara mantra. Long thought lost to time, banned across scriptures. Asterisk, AI scanners flagged her dreams as biocursed. Data The government sent a psychological drone team, but none of them returned. Asterisk, each camera drone sent into her room froze. Short-circuited or melted, but the walls always displayed a new image the next day. A throne, a fetus, a bleeding mother. Asterisk, on the 13th day of her visions, Kavya began whispering to someone invisible, referring to it as my brother, who hasn't been born yet but remembers everything. The AI caretakers grew afraid, not because of what Kavya did, but because one by one, all women in the city who shared her DNA began bleeding at the exact same hour. Asterisk. Scientists discovered a forgotten gene cluster in her blood, labeled RXB33, dormant for generations. Now fully active, with roots going back to Reeva Malhotra, 22-5. Asterisk, the curse had passed not through spirit, but through blood across cities, decades, and even technology. Asterisk, and on Kala Amavasya of 2125, the sky turned black again, even in artificial daylight, and every GPS system displayed one word in red. Asterisk, Raktdhara. Asterisk, from beneath Kavya's orphanage, a fault line opened, and out of it, the throne of bloodstone rose once more, untouched by time, gleaming with fresh crimson light. Asterisk, Kavya walked toward it, barefoot, trance-like, as ancient hymns played from broken speakers and rusted machines whispered the old Sanskrit verse. Asterisk, Raktdhara, Jagyuthi Hai, Rakhtabh Jam Liga. But this time, something changed. Before Kavya could step onto the dais, a ghost appeared, a woman, hair soaked in blood, holding a bone pendant. Reeva. Asterisk, she spoke in a language of blood. You are not the sacrifice. You are the sword. Asterisk, suddenly, Kavya's body ignited in red light, every drop of blood forming a protective yantra around her, and the throne recoiled. Asterisk, Rakhtabh tried to rise again, but this time his vessel refused. Asterisk, Reeva's soul merged with Kavya, and their combined voice echoed through time. Asterisk, enough. Let the curse bleed no more. Asterisk, they shattered the throne with a single cry, a scream that rippled across all dimensions, undoing the bloodline bindings, burning the old scriptures in flames invisible to mortal eyes. Asterisk, the Raktdhara temple crumbled across timelines past, present, future turned to dust. Asterisk, and with it, Rakhtabh was sealed once more, not in stone, but in silence. Asterisk, but legends say, on certain nights in the voice of a child's cry caught between two echoes, you might still hear the blood remembers, the offering awaits. Asterisk, because a curse never dies. Asterisk, it only learns to hide.